Hey citizens, my name is Black and welcome to CasaBLACK's Highlights of the Week, a weekly series where I go over only the best bits of this past week, helping those who are too busy to follow along, able to keep afloat in the sea of change that is Star Citizen. This week has been one of the most exciting in regards to news that I have seen since the Hercules and Tonk were released, so join won't you as I take you on a quick jaunt down the past 7 days. This week in the Roadmap Roundup, we saw the RSI constellation Taurus move into the committed column. This is great news for those looking for some extra cargo space for under $200. The actor feature Ladders Tier 1 was temporarily removed while it's under review until the plan for the feature is finalized. Nothing too huge here to worry about. The feature Bombs has been renamed from Space Mine Bombs to simply Bombs. Space mines will be added to the tracker later once plans for it has been finalized. Sounds to me like bombs are further along and we should not expect to see space mines until next year at the earliest. And that does it for this bi-weekly roundup. I for one was glad not to see anything else moved out from 314, which I will go into more detail later in our sneak peek section. Inside Star Citizen was pretty teaser heavy and got a little hype started for dynamic events. The first event they talked about was the Xenothreat event from earlier this year during the 312 cycle. The team took the feedback they received from that event, such as not quite being sure what to do at times, and have now made it so that players will resupply the Javelin, which will then take you to the battle, and it's the players' jobs to keep the Javelin's life up. Many other changes were made as well, such as the hostility system, and the AI will now hold a grudge if you attacked it. It might be some time after the fight, and you think all is cool, and then BAM! You get attacked because the AI doesn't forget. Oh no, it doesn't forget. The hostility can fade over time, so depending on how long or how many shots you took at the enemy, if they survive and enough time has not passed, you're still on their shit list. Friendly Fire got a massive overhaul as well, with non-playables having less of a hard time with Friendly Fire, versus actual players having Friendly Fire being a lot harder. The wrecks will now be scannable, so you can tell if there is still cargo or hostiles that need to be taken out. The sweet thing, and something that was listened to from player feedback, is no more taking the time to get out of your ship and traveling over only to find the ship empty. Also, and this is exciting, you will now be rewarded for your work based on how much you did or helped via reputation, the CDF or Civilian Defense Force. So at the end of the event, your reputation standing will dictate what rewards you get. The beautiful thing about this next Xenothreat is how new systems such as capacitors, scanners, and pinging are adding new layers of gameplay to the event, and it's so nice to see these tools being used across multiple features and events. Moving on from Xenothreat, the team then talked about Ninetales. This event is the one I think I am looking forward to the most. For those of you who do not know what this event entails, basically the Ninetales pirates are going to lock down a specific space station like those in the Crew or HUR Lagrange points. This is going to offer players to choose sides against one another to either get rid of those trying to do the lockdown or to defend the lockdown. This will create some interesting PvE and PvP gameplay. There will be 4 phases. The first phase is called Prologue. This will be a warning phase to alert players to get online and that something's going down. After so long, Phase 2 kicks into gear where the Crusader security force will send out ships to help take care of the transgressors, and if you decide to help them, you will join them to help rid the station of its pirate infestation. This won't be a walk in the park for those on the side of Crusader because the Ninetales will also be recruiting scoundrels, most likely flying in Drake ships, to take the upcoming ships out. Phase 3 and 4 are hush-hush on the silent tip, so we'll just have to wait and see. Perhaps it's some of what Godman Tony Z was discussing, where commodity prices start changing, making cargo run something super worthwhile for those planets in need of toilet paper. Damn, this is turning into May 2020 all over again. Now, while this event is smaller, only lasting about 3 to 4 hours, it is one that will continue to pop up during 314. The last little bit they teased right at the end of this segment was a mention of Jump Town 2. Now, I missed out on the first one, but I've heard so many stories about how it was some of the best Star Citizenry that anyone has experienced thus far, so I can't wait for that. Inside Star Citizen ended things with the latest sprint report. The first thing we got here were some finalized logos for 3 different corporations that I'm assuming we shall soon see in game. The first was Eclipse Mutual, a high-end, expensive health insurance company that looks like one of the many perhaps that players will be able to pay for in-game, and other different benefits that will be related to medical gameplay. Currently scheduled for 315. The insurance card pictured here states 3 things: minimal genetic deviance, preferred hospital spawn, and plastic surgery is included. The insurance will determine things like the number of times you can be cloned, and to a huge choice of replacement limbs. Yikes. This medical gameplay seems much more varying than I had anticipated. I'm really hoping there is good coverage for, say, burns. The TCB, or Tax Collection Bureau, was the next finalized logo they showed off. This part of the UEE government will no doubtedly be one that many players hate and might even push me into the pirate life. Apparently, if you don't pay, there's always volunteer services you can perform. I imagine this will be legalized kneecap breaking in order to collect those overdue taxes. Maybe I should name my pirate account Wesley Snipes. Next up was Cousin Crow's, a shop that specializes in ship customizations, crew member clothes, and ship accessories. Sounds like a pretty cool place to go. At a change of pace, next up was a visual effect tidbit that, from the teaser trailer earlier in the week, made everyone think the boosters were getting their promised rework. But no dice, people, as this was simply an update to the thrust dust system. The new system will stop doing a radial blowout of the dust and instead make it directional to match the lineup from the various boosters, which is somewhat impressive. I mean, it's not Cloud Tech impressive or even NPC Toilet impressive, but it's decent. Seriously though, this might seem like a really minor change, but when it goes live, it will just add that little bit extra realism that will get noticed, especially by older players, and it will make landing feel even more cozy. Another visual effect item they showed off was directional fire that will be implemented at some time, I believe at the end of this year or early next year for ships. The visual effects tree showed off how force from various things within a ship will affect the nature and movement of the fire to make it look and feel more real. So, as the fire feature goes online, the fire will react differently to fire extinguishers or a fire suppression system. I think my only concern with this is wondering now if my Drake ships have fire extinguishers on them, or were they left off because it was either the pilot seat or having fire extinguishers. Oh, Drake, how I loved a kid. But seriously, guys, do they have fire extinguishers? Anyone know? Guys? Anyone? Another very tiny look showed how flames and smoke could be ventilated, and I have to say that it's some of the more realistic fire and smoke sims I have seen from any game. And after that slight tease that I will probably have to loop the footage on, we moved on to ships, the Aegis Retaliator to be exact, with some before and after shots from the work the team has been doing. The teams also continued working on the Aegis Redeemer with more gray box interiors. I gotta say that I like the color scheme on the Redeemer. They also showed some nice shots of the changes for the Crusader Ares Starfighter. I heard someone on Super Mac Brothers stream not digging the similar aesthetics to the other recent Crusader ships, but I've got to say that I like that there is a design language for each company, and I like this baby Hercules looking design. I mean, most real vehicle manufacturers go through design phases, and their vehicles will all have similar look, whether it be the grille or certain contours. I am really digging these companies' looks and style choices. Next up, they showed off more of the canvas slice HUD that is coming to all ships by giving us a look at the Drake HUD and in different colors. I hope the ability to change colors is something they will leave in and maybe even allow shortcuts to, because at times the different planets can obscure different parts of the UI, making them damn near impossible to see. Wrapped up the video with a look at prop items for the exterior of the Colonial Outpost. I could swear one of the design team is a Blue Moon fan, as I noticed a beer bottle sitting on a table. Also, we got an early look at the white box designs for the Grim Hex Hospital coming later. They also showed off some of the smaller clinics for the space stations where you will be able to grab your vaccines for Vandal smallpox and maybe get some concussions treated. We also got another look at the lighting pass going on for Orison, as it is beginning to wrap up production for its PTU imminent release. Star Citizen Live was so chock full of goodness that I had to take half a day to process it all and then still go back and watch it a second time to take notes. It was so good. How good was it? Well, it was more info than what a highlights of the week video can offer, so I will break up some of the sections and create some standalone breakdown videos of some of the major things discussed. For now, I will give just some highlights and an early apology for the B-roll footage here, guys. Much of what was discussed is all new, and unfortunately there's no footage available just yet. I'll try to match it up the best I can. The team discussed long-distance probing first, describing this system-wide feature as one that presents many gamer interactions where players can launch and scan for various things from derelict ships to mining opportunities. Players would then be able to sell that information to others who can then decide how to proceed. This will present choices for profit or pirating moments alike, which has me on the fence about which space life is right for me. Next, the team discussed something new that will be coming to Crusader, but was not clear on if that will be with 3.14. That is atmospheric depth damage. In other words, the deeper you go into Crusader, the pressure will add up until your ship, which will have a pressure rating, will be squeezed and destroyed. As Jared pointed out, this will open up some Hunt for Red October gameplay, and that immediately sold me. Sorry, while the tech could be used for underwater pressure simulation as well, there are no current plans to use this system for that, but it's definitely on the table once underwater becomes a thing. After that, loot generation was discussed. I agree with the team that this will be a huge implementation into the game and sounds like it's pretty far along in the process already, if not already to be scheduled in-game. My fingers are crossed for 3.14 on this one, as it might silence some of those who were calling 3.14 lightware. They mentioned that there are around 2,600 items in the loot table so far, which is like 2,590 more than we have now. Harvestables was next to be discussed, and even though it does not sound like something we will have this year, or maybe next, there are plans to make harvestables things that you can craft medical supplies with, and also growing crops is in the works. Refining was the next huge topic discussed, and one that I would like to go in depth on with another video, as there was just so much info given. The gist of the work being done, which is still in development and ready to be worked on as soon as one lonely programmer finishes up his current task, is that players with the Starfarer will soon be able to outfit that ship with mineral, crystal, or metal refining modules that the team wants to make customizable by the players to be a one-stop place for mining ships to go and drop off their goods to be refined instead of going into the stations. This feature will really open up organization gameplay and allow for a full cycle gameplay that we do not currently have in Star Citizen. It's very, very exciting, especially for all you space miners out there. Next up was an update on refueling and its progress. It sounds like the team is coming along pretty far with this feature, as it is very much needed for Pyro, even though it was stated in the video that it is not a prerequisite for Pyro, but come on guys, it really is. They have saved time with development by using the current Merling docking system as a way to connect the boom arm from the Starfarer to other ships, similar to how a 737 refuels planes in midair. They mentioned that this feature would need to be done standing still for the most part, with the ship needing fuel able to slowly move into position even if it's out of fuel. It will be allowed to very slowly line up. Expect to hear more on this soon, and I would also expect to see some footage in the next quarter. Resource management was briefly discussed, but simply to say that it is so large and has taken twice as much time as they assumed due to how many sources in the game it touches on. But actual gameplay design has finally begun, which will be the system in place to open up engineering. So whatever place engineering was on the roadmap basically adds 6 months to the old time frame. Finally, they touched on mining, which they agreed is in a good place right now and will probably not be touched until next year, which is why mining version 2 was pushed back on the roadmap to next year. Of course, they would like to see more asteroid types added to the game, especially time-sensitive ones, and FPS mining still needs a lot of work, but they said not to expect more work on this until the Orion is worked on, which I would wager will be long after Pyro is in game and the need for new and varied asteroid mining will be needed. I mean, after all, why go to Pyro for mining when it's 10 times more dangerous if you can get the same exact ores from Stanton? There is no Reddit roundup this week because it is basically just filled with sneak peeks and leaks anyway, so let's just discuss that here. Heads up, if you hate spoilers, then here is your warning. Up first, one of the main leaks was from a brief Evocati test where players got on Thursday night to try out the first iteration of Orison, complete with the volumetric clouds. Now, while I cannot show the images here on this channel, you are welcome to check them out for yourself over on Reddit. But what I can say is that what we're seeing so far is breathtaking, even if the performance was nowhere close to where it needs to be. To those who tested it, they described the clouds as being tangible and something that provided some feeling that they were really there and not just some visual blurb. There were also new graphic settings reported to change the level of detail to help out with struggling performance from low, medium to high settings, with the medium setting being the default. I'm sure as the testing goes further on, the team will flesh out the tech more until the performance is more in line with what is acceptable. Until then, let's hope the feature does not get pushed out until server meshing makes stability more reasonable. Fingers crossed. Another smaller leak was a brief glimpse of the new Space Whale mascot costume. This was simply a picture, but it does give you an idea of what the person you will want to assault for fun will look like. I just love messing with costume mascots. Also, another very quick find from Inside Star Citizen was the new scanning animation and how cool that will look in 3.14. I have to say it looks so much better than what we currently have. Well, that's going to do it for my highlights of the week. This video went overboard with info, but I think it's a good thing. Sure, it might have been exhausting for me as a content creator to have to go through so much footage from Friday to Sunday, but that's why I'm here, to knock the news down into sizable chunks for you viewers out there who have super cool lives. Not to belittle my own life, I mean, it's super cool. Right, guys? Right? Well, anyways, that's all from me for now. I hope you all had a great week and stay positive, citizens. See you next time.